Hey guys, my name is Xuen, and today we'll be going over a talent guide for both PvE and PvP for survival hunters at level 120 in Battle for Azeroth. Keep in mind that I will not be going over the PvP talents, however, and I'm going to be saving that for the next video so I can go more in depth by explaining and giving examples. But I will be talking about the regular talents and going over them for both PvE and PvP. So now that we got that settled, let's jump right into this guide. In the first tier, we have Viper's Venom, Terms of Engagement, and Alpha Predator. As it stands right now, Alpha Predator is the go-to talent due to the fact that we have extremely low haste going into the beginning of BFA, which places a huge role in how fast you gain focused, and it does pair well with the talent Bloodseeker, which we'll be discussing later in this video. When I was leveling my Survival Hunter, I also experimented with the Legendary Ring, which gave me Viper's Venom baseline, and even though the damage was decent, it didn't proc enough to warrant me wanting to take it as a viable option versus Alpha Predator. As for Terms of Engagement, it can be good for leveling, but compared to the other two, and Harpoon having such a high cooldown, I only see this being a viable option when paired with the Azerite trait, which is rare considering that it's one of your worst traits. Next in the 30 tier, we have Guerrilla Tactics, Hydra's Bite, and Butchery. For most Mythic Pluses and World Questing, I found that Butchery is the best talent due to its high AoE damage output and because of its passive for both it and Carve being the normal ability if you do not decide to take Butchery. In an AoE rotation, this passive reduces the cooldown of your Wildfire Bomb by 1 second up to 5 seconds depending on how many targets you hit. And since you have 3 charges with Butchery, your Wildfire Bomb can come up a lot more often for more AoE. Guerrilla Tactics is the best for raiding and single target as well as arenas and PvP, and it pairs well with the talent Wildfire Infusion. The only time that I can see you taking this in Mythic Pluses is if you're doing a really high key and you can swap out talents before and after a boss fight. For Hydra's Bite, it can pair well with Viper's Venom, but since the other two talents are so much stronger, I doubt that you'll be taking this for a while unless they change something with it. In the 45 tier, we have Trailblazer, Natural Mending, and Camouflage. For raiding and high-end PvE, as well as, maybe some arenas, Natural Mending might be the best. However, if you're running something like Thug Cleave, which requires, Rogue Mage, and you want to both open out of stealth, or if you're running something like Jungle, Camouflage can be really good as well. Also for regular Battlegrounds, because it allows you to get resets, and it pairs well with a few of your PvP talents, which I'll be going over in another video. In the 60 tier, you mainly would be choosing between Bloodseeker and a Murder of Crows. This one is kinda optional for PvE, however I think survival in PvE, Bloodseeker is a lot better and it pairs well with the talent Alpha Predator. On top of that, for every enemy bleeding within 12 yards of you, you and your pet will gain 10% attack speed. A Murder of Crows is mainly best for PvP, but it also depends on what you're doing. For example, if you're running a control comp like Thug Cleave, which is Rogue Hunter Healer, you'll want to run Murder of Crows for on-demand burst when you're able to cross CC and lock your primary target down. A Murder of Crows will still most likely be your main go-to talent for arenas, but I suspect things like BGs and RBGs you'll be running Bloodseeker. In the 75 tier, you have Born to be Wild, Post Haste, and Binding Shot. Post Haste and Binding Shot are good, however Born to be Wild I believe is the best talent out of the three, and here's why. Not only will you have lower cooldown on all of your aspect abilities, but because you have it on lower cooldown, you'll be able to help out your group a lot more. In competitive PvE scenarios, there are certain fights, like there is one fight in Shrine where the boss will summon purple orbs and it's the job of one of the DPSs to soak those depending on if they're MC'd or not. And if the healer's having trouble, healing, you can actually soak those orbs by popping Aspect of the Turtle, and it will not do any damage to you or the raid. Or the group, if you know what I mean. In PvP, obviously, having those cooldowns on a shorter cooldown, it definitely helps out with your healers and helps you survive a lot longer, especially in competitive scenarios. But if you're doing casual things like questing or casual BGs or casual arenas or PvE, post haste and binding shot can be very viable options, so just pick what you have most fun playing. In the 90 tier, we have Tip of the Spear, Mongoose Bite, and Flanking Strike. As it stands right now, Mongoose Bite is the best talent out of the three due to its sheer damage output that you gain from the Mongoose Bite stacking effect. The other two talents are good, however I don't see you taking them unless they lower the cooldown on Flanking Strike or nerf Mongoose Bite. I do feel that Tip of the Spear is a decent competitor to Mongoose Bite, however again because of the damage output of Mongoose Bite, it just beats Tip of the Spear at the moment. In last tier, we have Birds of Prey, Wildfire Infusion, and Chakrams. At the moment, the best talent for PvE is Wildfire Infusion, and it pairs really well with the previous talent, Guerrilla Tactics. For PvP, I've seen some people in arenas opt for Chakrams, however I still think that is personal preference and situational. As for Birds of Prey, even though it's a decent talent, until we get more haste and for better focus regeneration, I don't see you taking it over Wildfire Infusion unless you're doing a fight that requires you to burst a boss or a target down in a very short limited window of time. But again, I can see the talent being a very viable option later on in the expansion when we have more haste. Well, that's going to conclude this video discussing the base talents for both PvE and PvP. Hope you guys enjoyed and got some useful knowledge. Again, I wanted to save the PvP talents for a separate video because the plan is to get some pretty good examples to go along with the talents to kind of give you guys more of a visual approach on why those talents are good and why you should pick them, or when to pick them. But if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely helps the channel out. If you guys have any questions for me, you're more than welcome to message me on Discord. I keep DMs open. Other than that, you know, I do try to stream every day at twitch.tv/Xuen. All the links will be down in the description below. If you have any more questions, you know, just feel free to ask again. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. And the next guides that I'm going to be focusing on is going to be obviously the talent video for PvP. I'm also going to be going over a macro guide, rotation guide, and some more guides that I haven't really wrote up yet, which I can't really think of at the moment. But hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next video, and have a great day.